this game, I'm going to be out on the Steelers, I think. I cannot believe, and I understand Arthur Smith and maybe that's more his vibe or whatever. When you have Rodgers and DK, you cannot be bottom 5 in explosive passes. I refuse to subscribe to that. Why not, and what do you want to see?
DK is as advertised. There's no question about that connection, what you're seeing with Aaron Rodgers and DK. The challenge is defensively, they don't respect the number 2 receiver. And because of that, you have Calvin Austin. He should be back from injury this week, we're hoping. And then Roman Wilson has not showed that trajectory of what they would like to be from a number 2 receivers. And, of course, earlier this offseason, they ended up getting rid of George Pickens, who was having a monster year down in Dallas. And you would love to have that on this offense, but unfortunately he's not here. But when you look at just what George Pickens is doing as the number 2 receiver, he has 36 catches, 607 yards, 6 touchdowns. But then when you look at the receiver group as a whole for the Steelers, they have 38 catches, 612 yards, and 7 touchdowns. So that just lets you know you let a piece walk out that door, but now that receiver group outside of DK has to step up in a big hurry if you are going to now soften up some of those defenses.
Should they have let that piece out the door?
I don't think they should. And the reason why is because they paired George Pickens up with arguably the worst coordinator in the history of the NFL. And I'm not throwing shade. The numbers are what they are. And then so he lost more games in Pittsburgh than he ever lost in his career. And he had a bad rap. And he didn't know how to lose. And I'm okay with that. And now you're seeing him showcase in an offense that are now throwing the football around on what his skills are. And ultimately, he's going to get a huge contract, whether that's in Dallas or elsewhere, because this guy can flat out play.
He's the perfect fit for Aaron Rodgers. Because when Aaron Rodgers is letting it rip, we're seeing 70-yard throws. Like, don't tell me Aaron can't do it, because he did it and he can. I think there's a world, and I've talked about this on the show, and I get a lot of pushback. They could have made it happen with both. They could have brought in DK and kept George. I think there's a lot of people who are like, well, they got rid of George because they brought in DK and it was more like a safer choice or like what. No, there's a world where y'all could have had both, and I do think the team's struggling without that second guy. So that said, Charlie Batch, legendary Steelers QB, who are we trading for?